Rakhmonov, Ian Garry. This is a sneaky good fight. And it's a sneakily complex match. Now, Ian Garry brings a lot to the table. But Ian Garry does offer for us a level of entertainment that few other guys even attempt to do.
I mean, on paper, I think it's a fantastic fight, and somebody's got to go.
I've said this before, you got to have a lot of respect for Ian Garry. He didn't have to take this fight, but can he stop the takedown? Seems like all I'm talking about here is takedown.
Somebody's hoes got to go. So whose hoes going?
And Rakhmonov and Ian Garry were teammates. They were workout partners. They were in there to work with each other, to help each other, to use the other one to help themselves.
Honestly, putting on my professional hat, I can see a world where Ian Garry gets this one done, but I don't really care much for both guys. So I don't really care. I'm not picking whoever it is. At some point, I'm going to have to see, and I'm going to have to do what I do. But I don't really care, but I can't see a world where Ian gets it done. Shavkat is very good and very dangerous, but I can see a world where Ian gets it done.
And they both trained together before, so we get an idea of who thinks he knows more about the other guy. Like, you hear rumors about this guy or that guy, what he did in the practice room, but at the end of the day, sparring is sparring and fighting is fighting. There's a big difference.
Funny enough, man, a lot of people not gonna believe me, but I think Ian Garry is gonna win, you know what I mean, by the skin of his teeth, you know. Just like the rest of his wins that he had, you know, whether that's with MVP or with Jeff Neal. He does a good job of staying safe and surviving. And if you don't have the feet to kind of hunt down guys like that, where they're constantly moving and they're constantly evading, and you set up traps, you know, obviously, yet again, you're not going to be able to land those power shots.
So what used to be an ass kicking every day at 3 now becomes your opponent for 5 rounds, and Ian Garry didn't flinch. I'm just asking you why.
Ian has been to, I don't even know, you know, so many gyms in the last couple of years, to where I feel like it's very, some people can get it done. Some people can seek knowledge and take some here, and here from different gyms. But I feel like it's extremely difficult for you to build a baseline, which is when all else fails, I have my baseline work that I've worked with these coaches that I know that if all else fails, these coaches are going to pour into me. Hey, let's get back to the fundamentals that we've spent hours and hours and hours in the gym building. So I worry about that with Ian Garry, having bounced around to this gym and that gym and this gym and that gym. I worry about that in a 5-round fight when you have to fight a dog, because I don't feel like he's fought a dog.
Shavkat Rakhmonov is very tall for the division, as is Ian Garry. They're both 6'3", and they're both competent strikers. Ian Garry's probably, though, going to dance around the octagon and use the exact same game plan what he did against Jeff Neal. He's got to keep Shavkat Rakhmonov off him.
Because there's knowledge is everywhere, but against Rakhmonov's going to bring that grappling, that wrestling, where Ian is pretty striking heavy.
Ian Garry is really good at fighting. I just mean his record. You go watch Garry on his feet, the way he will flinch and set things up before he goes into a combo. I'm just telling you, like, his skills, his X's and O's are as good as anybody. He also has no ground game. That's the belief on him. He goes and spends 1 month, I think it was 6 weeks in total, with Damian Maia. In his very next fight, Garry, he wins the fight because of groundwork. That's a fast learner.
You know,
they're both striking heavy.
Keep it on his feet.
They're both striking heavy. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna tell you that.
No, I know, but Rakhmonov has more of that.
Yes, he's an opportunist grappler, but
more of his fights.
Thing that with me, where I look at both of these guys, I don't know who's tweeting for Shavkat. He just looks stupid. Where he says, "Oh, I'm disappointed in all these welterweights," and you can just tell it's not him because he doesn't say anything. But I'm looking at this guy like, what are you disappointed in? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Ian Garry, I think more so for him, he has to get it out of his head that he's putting Shavkat like on a pedestal, where he says, "Oh, this guy's the boogeyman. I'm the one that's stepping up to fight the boogeyman. I said yes to the boogeyman." When at the end of the day, it's like, if you're putting that on a pedestal, it's kind of like how you see guys like Magny, where he goes out there and he says, "Oh, I'm fighting the toughest guy."
With Shavkat, you know, he just stands up, you know, he waits on guys too much, and yet again, you know, you have two guys that are willing to fight and get into the fire. If you get in the fire with Shavkat, you're gonna get burnt. But I don't see Ian Garry, you know, running into that burning house. So he's gonna try to, you know, flee and invade the whole time. And I can see Ian Garry getting his hand raised by decision.
Ian is looking at Rakhmonov, who got the best of him, who was the veteran within the room, who was the alpha between the two. He's looking at that. And he's saying, but you're still that same guy. You were really good then. But in theory, you'd be just as good now. Because you're doing the same thing. Right? Definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Ian Garry is not doing the same thing. He has left. So he's taking the knowledge that he had at this time where Rakhmonov was on top. And he's added to that knowledge.
They're both decent grapplers for sure. I can't take anything away. They're both decent grapplers. Ian's not bad on his back. They're both decent grappler. I think Shavkat is the more opportunistic grappler, that he can get you, even if it's a big brother bulldog choke. He'll finish you there. Even if it's taking your back, he'll finish you there. So I would say Shavkat is the more opportunistic finisher. But Ian Garry, they're both good. This is such a closely contested fight. They both prefer to stand on their feet and strike. But I think if it comes down to it, Shavkat might have a little edge. So I you know what? I'm gonna lean towards Shavkat.
If he can't stop the takedown, he will get finished. And that is no disrespect to Ian Garry. He might be able to dance around, use the reach, use the range, use the movement, be fast, be elusive, be nice and crisp, be light on his toes, and be dedicated enough to not allow himself to get involved into a brawl. If he does that, Shavkat's going to get a hold of him. If he gets a hold of him, he's going to get him down. And if he gets him down, it's going to be lights out.
With Ian, I'm starting to get that feeling where he's like putting him at such a big pedestal, like, everybody said no to him, and I said yes. When it's like, as a welterweight, if you think you could be a champion, you got to tell yourself you could be anybody in the division. There is nobody that you could say that, oh man, this guy's better than me, and I should be afraid of him, but I'm not afraid of him. And I'm looking at it like, mentally, are you already losing the fight? Like, what are you trying to tell yourself?
The risk that Ian Garry is taking. There is nobody in the company with a better record than Ian Garry. Not if you go percent. There's a couple of guys tied with him. There's nobody with a better record. As a matter of fact, Rakhmonov is tied with him, percent-wise. I know he's got a couple more wins. But it is very rare when you get guys with O's. Like, this is one of the oldest storylines in sports history. Somebody's O must go, but that never doesn't work. It doesn't matter if it's football teams or baseball teams or boxers. That works. Somebody's O must go. The reason we don't use it over here, the reason that Dana White could not be caught anywhere talking about somebody's O must go, he's never been in a position like this.
This one is it's a good one on paper. Very, very good one on paper. I can't wait to see it. You know, I can't wait to see it, whether my prediction is correct or not correct. Because like I said, when Ian Garry fought MVP, I said it. I didn't think that was going to be the most exciting fight. And it turned out to not be the most exciting fight. But we'll see how this one goes.
Look at Shavkat's last fight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. A man that spent his entire life stopping takedowns, okay? But what did Shavkat do? Boxed his way into a clinch and then slowly but surely, methodically worked his way down. So the story in that fight is simple. Can Ian Garry stop the takedown? Because if he can't, someone's always going to go, and that's probably going to be Ian Garry's. But he does have a path to victory of using the range, sticking and moving. The crowd will boo, but who cares about the crowd? Winning is all that matters.
This type of promotion is more so like, hey, I'm the one who said yes. I'm the only one who said yes to this guy, and everybody's afraid of him except for me. And I'm just like, are you afraid? Are you afraid? Are you kind of like, you look kind of afraid.
Rakhmonov has won 18 fights. He's finished them all. Ian Garry has won 15 fights. He's never lost. Dana's never been put in this position. And now the first time that Dana gets to promote, somebody's O must go. It's not even for the belt. That is a wildly difficult negotiation. Not even a main event. The most beautiful records in the company, the most impressive guys on the entire card, they're not even the main event that night. And neither one of them flinched.